I should have known something was wrong when I had to write the final check to Callahan's wedding venue with a hangover that felt like someone had used my skull for batting practice. $95,000. A year's salary from my contracting business, gone in one signature for a wedding that was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives. Nothing like spending a fortune to hear your life implode in surround sound, I muttered, signing my name with a shaky hand. The venue was everything Megan had dreamed of. Rolling hills, white gazebo, enough flowers to stock a funeral home. I stood in the main hall watching the final preparations when I heard Leslie whispering to another bridesmaid near the cake table. I hope she tells him before he says, "I do," Leslie said, her voice carrying more than she intended. Leslie had been Megan's best friend since college, and if anyone knew my wife's secrets, it was her. I walked over, my work boots clicking against the polished floor. "Tell me what, Leslie?" I asked, keeping my voice level. She turned pale, her makeup suddenly looking like war paint. "Nick, Nothing. Just wedding jitters, you know?" "Spill it, or I'll make this the most awkward wedding since Henry VIII decided he needed a divorce," I said, crossing my arms. Leslie looked around nervously, then grabbed my arm and pulled me toward a corner. "You didn't hear this from me, okay? But Megan, she's been seeing someone, Eric Duval, her ex from college." The name hit me like a sledgehammer. Eric Duval, the trust fund baby who dumped Megan 5 years ago because she wasn't sophisticated enough for his social circle. The same Eric who was now supposedly some hotshot real estate broker. "How long?" I asked. 3 months, maybe 4. Nick, I told her to break it off, but she said she was confused, that she needed time to figure things out. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger yet. That would come later. Just a crystalline clarity that cut through my hangover like a blade. Where is she now? Getting ready in the bridal suite upstairs. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my mind racing. 4 months. 4 months of lies while I worked overtime to pay for this circus. 4 months of her coming home late, claiming she was meeting with vendors, or having girls' nights. I knocked on the bridal suite door. Megan opened it, looking radiant in her dress, the dress I'd worked weekends to afford. "Nick, you're not supposed to see me before the ceremony," she said, but her smile faltered when she saw my expression. "We need to talk, now." She stepped outside, closing the door behind her. "What's wrong? You look terrible." "Guess my vows should have included honor, cherish, and tolerate your side piece," I said. Her face went white under her carefully applied makeup. "What are you talking about?" "Eric Duval. Ring a bell?" She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "Nick, I can explain." 4 months, Megan. 4 months you've been seeing someone else while I've been busting my ass to pay for this wedding. Tears started streaming down her face, taking her mascara with them. "It's not what you think. Eric and I, we just reconnected, and old feelings came back. I was going to end it after the wedding, I swear." "After the wedding? After I'd legally tied myself to a cheating liar?" "Don't call me that," she snapped, her true colors showing through the tears. "You want to know why I went back to Eric? Because he actually talks to me. He doesn't come home covered in sawdust, too tired to have a real conversation. He takes me to nice places, makes me feel special. With my money funding your guilt-free conscience, apparently. It's not about money. Everything's about money with you, Megan. This whole wedding is about showing off for your friends, not about marrying me." She stared at me for a long moment, then lifted her chin defiantly. "Maybe you're right. Maybe I do deserve better than a blue-collar nobody who thinks a romantic evening is pizza and beer in front of the TV." That's when the anger finally came, hot and pure. But I kept my voice steady. "Well, congratulations. You're about to get exactly what you deserve." I walked back downstairs and found Mr. Callahan frantically directing the catering staff. "The wedding's off," I told him. "What? Mr. Harlan, you can't be serious. We have 200 guests arriving in 3 hours. "Very serious. Send them home. Send everyone home." The next hour was chaos. Guests had to be called, vendors dismissed, explanations given to confused family members. I stood in the middle of it all, watching my carefully planned life crumble, and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. Megan tried to corner me near the parking lot as I was leaving. "Nick, please, we can work this out. Couples therapy, whatever you want." "We're done, Megan. I'll have divorce papers drawn up Monday." She grabbed my arm. "You're making a mistake. Eric was just a fling. You're my husband." "Not yet. I'm not. And now I never will be." I got in my truck and drove away, leaving her standing there in her expensive wedding dress. In my rearview mirror, I saw her pull out her phone, probably calling Eric to come rescue her. That's when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Glad you found out. She always deserved better than a construction worker. I pulled over and stared at the message. Eric. The smug bastard was taunting me. I sat there for a moment, then smiled for the first time all day. "Oh, you want to play games?" I said out loud. "I play for keeps." Monday morning, I called my buddy Ray Martinez at his auto shop. Ray and I had served together in Afghanistan, and if there was one thing Army engineers learned, it was how to solve problems creatively. "Nick, buddy, heard about the wedding. Sorry, man." "Don't be. I dodged a bullet, but I need a favor." "Name it." "Megan's car is technically in my name. I co-signed the loan. Think you could help me repossess it?" Ray's laugh rumbled through the phone. "Brother, it would be my pleasure." We found Megan's BMW parked outside Eric's luxury apartment complex that afternoon. She'd apparently moved in with him immediately after the wedding fell through. The car was legally mine to take, and Ray had the tow truck ready. "This feels almost too easy," Ray said as we hooked up the BMW. "The best revenge usually is," I replied. While Ray handled the car, I did some research on Eric Duval. Social media made it simple. The guy documented his entire life online. Expensive dinners, weekend trips, his precious Tesla Model S. He was also apparently dating some Instagram influencer named Simone who posted constantly about their perfect relationship. That evening, I created a fake social media account and started following both Eric and Simone. Then I sent Eric a simple message from an anonymous email account. Screenshots of text messages between Megan and me from our argument, clearly showing her confession about the affair. The message was simple. "Thought you should know what your girlfriend really thinks about you. She called you a rebound fling she was going to dump after her wedding." I'd edited the screenshots slightly. Nothing illegal, just emphasized certain parts where Megan had talked about using Eric for excitement while planning to stay married to me for financial security. My phone rang an hour later. Megan, hysterical. "Nick, what did you do with my car?" "My car," I corrected. "I repossessed it. Check the loan paperwork." "You can't do this. I need that car." "Should have thought about that before you decided to cheat on me. How's Eric taking the news about being your disposable boy toy?" Silence on the other end, then, "What are you talking about?" "Check with your boyfriend. I'm sure he's got questions." I hung up and poured myself a beer. 20 minutes later, Ray texted me. "Dude, you need to see this." He'd sent me a video link. Someone had recorded Eric and Simone having a screaming match in the parking lot of his apartment complex. Simone was throwing his clothes out of a suitcase while Eric tried to explain that the screenshots were taken out of context. "You told me she was just a friend," Simone screamed. "You've been sleeping with a married woman for months." "She was getting divorced," Eric protested. "She was getting married, you lying piece of garbage." The video ended with Simone driving away in Eric's Tesla, leaving him standing in the parking lot surrounded by his scattered belongings. I felt a warm glow of satisfaction. Phase 1 complete. The next day, I took Megan's engagement ring, a 2-carat diamond I'd spent 3 months' salary on, to a jewelry buyer downtown. Got $8,000 cash for it, which I immediately used to book a trip to Hawaii. Megan had always dreamed of honeymooning in Maui. I posted photos from the beach with the caption, "Sometimes the best company is your own." Living my best life. Ataramon, no regrets. Megan called within an hour. "You sold my ring?" "My ring. I bought it. I kept the receipt. Technically, since we never got married, it was a conditional gift." "You're being cruel, Nick." "I'm being practical. The ring was an investment in our future. Since we don't have one, I liquidated the asset." "I can't believe you're doing this. This isn't like you." "You're right. The old Nick would have just taken it and moved on. But the old Nick was a sucker who worked his ass off for someone who was planning to cheat on him through their entire marriage." She hung up on me. That evening, I decided to escalate things. Eric's precious Tesla was parked in his assigned spot at the apartment complex. I'd noticed he had one of those fancy app-controlled cars where everything was connected to his phone. I didn't do anything illegal. I'm not stupid. But I did buy a bag of frozen shrimp from the grocery store and, late that night, carefully placed them in his car's air intake vents. By morning, the heat would turn them into a biological weapon. I also called a local towing company and reported an abandoned vehicle in the visitor parking, giving them Eric's license plate number and claiming the car had been sitting there for weeks. It was petty, but watching Eric deal with the tow truck while his car smelled like a fish market made my whole week. "Just a little shellfish revenge," I muttered, taking photos from across the street. Small towns run on gossip, and our town was no different. The Slippery Elm, the local dive bar, was gossip central, and Marge, the owner, was the unofficial town crier. I'd been going there for years, and Marge had always liked me. "Nick, honey, I heard about the wedding," Marge said when I walked in Wednesday night. "That girl never deserved you." "Thanks, Marge. Bye everyone around. I'm celebrating my freedom." Word travels fast in a place where everyone knows everyone else's business. By Thursday, half the town knew about Megan's affair. I helped things along by making sure certain details found their way to the right ears. Megan worked as a wedding planner at Elegant Events, a high-end company that catered to the wealthy families in our area. Her boss, Mrs. Patterson, was a strict Catholic woman who took a dim view of adultery, especially when it involved her employees. I didn't have to do much, just made sure Mrs. Patterson saw some of the text messages between Megan and Eric that I'd screenshotted before deleting them from my phone. Messages where Megan talked about using her access to wedding venues for romantic rendezvous with Eric. Friday afternoon, Megan called me sobbing. "Nick, Mrs. Patterson fired me. She said I was using company resources for personal affairs and that I'd violated the moral standards clause in my contract." "That's terrible," I said, not bothering to hide my satisfaction. "Maybe Eric can help you find a new job." "Eric won't even talk to me. Simone posted all over social media about what a cheater he is. His real estate license is under review because apparently she also reported him for some shady deals." I hadn't known about the shady deals, but it didn't surprise me. Guys like Eric always cut corners. "Sounds like you picked a real winner." "This is your fault. You've been sabotaging us." "I've been telling the truth. There's a difference." That weekend, things came to a head at the Slippery Elm. I was having a quiet beer when Megan walked in, looking desperate and angry. The entire bar went quiet. "Nick, we need to talk," she said loudly. "I think we've said everything we need to say. You've been spreading lies about me all over town." I stood up slowly, aware that everyone was watching. "I haven't told a single lie, Megan. Everything I've said is the truth. You cheated on me for months while I paid for our wedding. You called me a blue-collar nobody who wasn't good enough for you. You moved in with your boyfriend the same day you were supposed to marry me." The bar was silent. Megan's face was red with embarrassment and anger. "You're making me sound like a monster." "I'm not making you sound like anything. I'm just not covering for you anymore." "I made a mistake, okay? People make mistakes. And people face consequences for their mistakes. You wanted Eric instead of me? Congratulations, you got him. Oh wait, no you didn't. Turns out he didn't want you either once he found out you were just using him for excitement." The crowd was eating this up. Someone in the back called out, "Tell her, Nick." Megan looked around the bar, seeing nothing but hostile faces. "You've turned everyone against me." "I didn't have to turn anyone against you. You did that yourself when you decided to cheat on someone who loved you." She ran out of the bar, and the place erupted in cheers. Marge poured me a free shot. "Guess you're not the only one who can put on a show," I thought, downing the whiskey. Things escalated quickly after the bar confrontation. Eric, apparently desperate to salvage something from the wreckage of his life, decided to take a more direct approach. Tuesday night, I was in my workshop behind the house when I heard someone trying to break into my truck. I grabbed a wrench and stepped outside. Eric was crouched by my driver's side door, trying to jimmy the lock. "Looking for something?" I called out. He spun around, nearly falling over. "Nick, I was just... my phone. I think I dropped my phone around here earlier." "Funny, since you've never been to my house before. And that's a Slim Jim in your hand, not a phone." Eric straightened up, trying to look dignified. "Look, man, this has gone far enough. You've destroyed my relationship, cost me business, made my car unlivable. What more do you want?" "I want you to disappear. You and Megan both. Find another town to ruin." "I'm not going anywhere. This is a free country." "You're right. It is. Which means I'm free to keep telling everyone the truth about what you two did." Eric's face twisted with anger. "You think you're so smart, don't you? Blue-collar hero getting revenge on the rich guy who stole his girl. But I didn't steal anything. She came to me because you're boring and poor and she wanted better." "If I'm so boring and poor, why are you here trying to break into my truck at midnight?" He didn't have an answer for that. I took a step closer, still holding the wrench. "Here's what's going to happen, Eric. You're going to get in whatever piece of junk you're driving now and leave. If I catch you on my property again, I'm calling the cops. And next time, I might not be in such a talking mood." Eric tried to stare me down, but he was soft. Probably never been in a real fight in his life. After a moment, he backed away. "This isn't over," he said. "Yeah, it is." I watched him get into a beat-up Honda. Apparently the Tesla was still in the shop getting de-shrimped. As he drove away, I noticed he had a flat tire. Probably picked up a nail from my driveway. Such bad luck. The next day, Megan showed up at my house. She looked terrible. Unwashed hair, wrinkled clothes, dark circles under her eyes. Nick, please, I need help. I can't find a job, I'm almost out of money, and Eric kicked me out of his apartment. Not my problem anymore. I'm your wife. No, you're not. We never got married, remember? And the divorce papers were finalized yesterday. Her face crumpled. I have nowhere to go. There's a motel on Route 9. Heard they rent by the week. I can't afford a motel. Can't I just stay in the guest room until I get back on my feet? I almost laughed. You want me to let you move back in after you cheated on me and called me a nobody? I was angry. I didn't mean it. Yeah, you did. And you know what? You were right. I am just a blue-collar nobody. But I'm a blue-collar nobody with a house and a job and self-respect. What are you? She stared at me for a long moment, then turned and walked away without another word. That night, Ray called me. Dude, you need to hear this. Eric came by the shop today, asking if I knew anyone who could teach you a lesson. Wanted to hire someone to rough you up. What did you tell him? I told him I'd think about it, then I followed him home. The guy's living in a studio apartment above the Chinese restaurant on Main Street. Looks like his money problems are worse than we thought. Interesting, very interesting. Friday night, Eric made his final mistake. He came back to my house, but this time he brought a crowbar and tried to break into my workshop. He probably thought I kept cash or tools he could steal and sell. Ray and I were waiting for him. We'd set up a motion-activated camera and were sitting in Ray's truck across the street. There he is, Ray whispered as Eric crept around the side of my house. We watched him pry at the workshop door for about 5 minutes before we made our move. I came from the front while Ray circled around back. Evening, Eric, I said pleasantly. He spun around, crowbar in hand. Stay back. Breaking and entering now, that's a felony. Ray stepped out of the shadows behind him. Drop the crowbar, rich boy. Eric looked back and forth between us, realizing he was trapped. He dropped the crowbar. I wasn't going to steal anything, he said. I just wanted to talk to you. With a crowbar? For protection. I picked up the crowbar and examined it. Nice tool. I think I'll keep it. Consider it compensation for my time. You can't do that. Call the cops then. I'm sure they'd love to hear about your attempted burglary. Eric's shoulders sagged. He knew he was beaten. What do you want? He asked. I want you gone. Both of you. Out of town by Sunday, or I start posting those photos Ray took of you trying to hire someone to beat me up. Eric went pale. You don't have photos. Ray held up his phone. Say cheese, asshole. Turns out Karma is a mechanic with a camera, I thought, watching Eric realize how completely screwed he was. Saturday morning, I decided it was time to end this properly. I sent identical texts to both Megan and Eric. Meet me at Callahan's wedding venue at 2 p.m. Time to settle this once and for all. Come alone. I got there early and set up my phone to live stream on social media. I'd built up quite a following over the past week. People loved a good revenge story, especially when it involved cheaters getting their comeuppance. Megan arrived first, looking nervous and desperate. Nick, thank you for agreeing to meet. I know we can work this out. We'll see. Eric showed up 10 minutes later, driving his beat-up Honda. He looked even worse than Megan. Unshaven, wrinkled clothes, the smell of desperation clinging to him like cheap cologne. What's this about? He demanded. This is about truth, I said, making sure my phone was capturing everything. For the past week, you two have been telling people I'm crazy, that I'm harassing you, that I'm some kind of stalker who can't accept that his relationship is over. You are harassing us, Megan protested. Really? Let's examine the facts. I pulled out a folder I'd prepared. Fact 1. Megan, you had an affair with Eric for 4 months while we were engaged and I was paying for our wedding. It wasn't an affair, we were just... Fact 2. Eric, you sent me a text after the wedding was canceled, gloating about how Megan deserved better than a construction worker. I have screenshots. I held up printouts. Fact 3. When your relationship with Eric fell apart because he's actually broke and was just pretending to be successful, you both blamed me for ruining things. You did ruin things, Eric snapped. You turned everyone against us. Fact 4. Eric tried to break into my house twice and asked my friend to find someone to beat me up. That's not true. I nodded to Ray, who stepped out from behind a tree where he'd been filming with a second camera. Got it all on video, buddy. Eric's face went white. You set us up. I documented your crimes. There's a difference. Megan tried a different approach. Nick, you're scaring me. This isn't like you. Maybe you should talk to someone, get some help. That's when I played my trump card. Funny you should mention that, Megan. Because I've been talking to someone. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the therapist you recommended when you were trying to convince me I was emotionally distant. Megan's eyes widened. She knew where this was going. Turns out Dr. Mitchell is very interested in the recordings I made of our conversations, especially the ones where you admitted to gaslighting me, making me think I was crazy for suspecting you were cheating. You recorded our private conversations? I recorded my wife lying to my face and trying to manipulate me into thinking I was mentally ill. In our state, that's perfectly legal as long as one party consents. And I consented to recording my own conversations. The live stream was blowing up with comments. People were sharing it, tagging their friends. This was going viral in real time. Eric tried to leave. I don't have to listen to this. Actually, you do. Because if you leave now, I'm posting everything. The photos of you trying to break into my house, the recordings of you asking Ray to find someone to hurt me, the financial records I found showing you're not actually a successful real estate broker. You're 3 months behind on rent, and your license was suspended for fraud. Eric stopped walking. How did you get my financial records? Your ex-girlfriend Simone was very helpful. Apparently you left some interesting paperwork at her place. The crowd was growing. Word had spread through town, and people were showing up to watch the drama unfold. I recognized faces from the Slippery Elm, from Megan's former workplace, from Eric's real estate office. Megan made one last desperate play. Everyone, please don't listen to him. Nick has been abusing me. He's been stalking me, threatening me, destroying my property. The crowd murmured, some people looking uncertain. That's a serious accusation, Megan, I said calmly. Good thing I have witnesses to everything I've done. Ray, want to tell everyone about the car? Ray stepped forward. Nick legally repossessed a car that was in his name. I helped him do it through proper channels, nothing illegal about it. What about my job? Megan demanded. You got me fired. I showed your boss text messages where you admitted to using company property for personal affairs. She made the decision to fire you based on your own words. The ring. You stole my engagement ring. I sold a ring I purchased to a woman I never married after she cheated on me. Again, perfectly legal. One by one, I dismantled every accusation. Everything I'd done was either completely legal or simple truth-telling. I hadn't broken any laws, hadn't threatened anyone, hadn't even raised my voice. Eric tried one more time to take control of the situation. You people don't understand. This man is dangerous. He's been systematically destroying our lives because he can't handle rejection. Rejection? I laughed. Eric, you're broke, unemployed, and living above a Chinese restaurant. Your girlfriend left you, your business is failing, and you're facing criminal charges for attempted burglary. What exactly did I get rejected from? The crowd was laughing now. Someone started clapping, then others joined in. Soon the whole gathering was applauding. Megan started crying. This isn't fair. I made one mistake. One mistake? I pulled out more papers. Should we talk about the credit cards you opened in my name? The loan you took out against my truck without telling me? The money you stole from our joint account to pay for hotel rooms with Eric? The applause got louder. Someone shouted, You tell him, Nick! Eric grabbed Megan's arm. We're leaving. This is insane. Yeah, you are leaving, I agreed. Both of you, tonight. Because tomorrow I'm pressing charges for everything I can prove, and I can prove a lot. They tried to salvage some dignity as they walked away, but it was impossible. The crowd followed them to their cars, jeering and laughing. Someone had brought speakers and started playing Hit the Road, Jack. As Eric's Honda limped out of the parking lot with Megan in the passenger seat, I felt a deep satisfaction settle in my chest. They were broke, humiliated, and facing legal consequences for their actions. Most importantly, everyone knew the truth. Sunday evening, I walked into the Slippery Elm for the first time since my public confrontation with Megan. The place went quiet when I entered, then erupted in cheers and applause. Nick, Marge called out, your money's no good here tonight. Someone had printed out screenshots from my live stream and taped them to the walls. The video had been shared thousands of times, with comments overwhelmingly supporting me. I'd become something of a folk hero, the working-class guy who outsmarted the cheaters. Heard they left town this morning, Ray said, sliding onto the bar stool next to me. Saw them loading up that piece of junk Honda with everything they owned. Didn't look like much. Good riddance, said Mrs. Grafton, my elderly neighbor. That girl never deserved you, Nick. Too full of herself. The bartender, Barry, poured me a whiskey. This one's from the gentleman at the end of the bar. Says he's been married 40 years and wishes he'd handled his problems half as well as you handled yours. I raised the glass to the older man, who nodded respectfully back. So what's next for you? Marge asked. Back to normal life? Better than normal, I said. I've got my house to myself, my business is doing great, and I don't have to worry about someone lying to my face every day. Plus, I learned something valuable about myself. What's that? I'm a lot smarter than people give me credit for, and I'm a lot tougher than I thought. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. For a moment, I thought it might be Megan or Eric, but it was from Dr. Mitchell, the therapist. Nick wanted you to know that your documentation has been very helpful for my research on gaslighting and emotional abuse. Would you be interested in speaking at a conference about your experience? I smiled and typed back, absolutely. The evening went on, with people buying me drinks and asking for details about how I'd planned everything. I told them the truth, that I hadn't really planned it at all. I just decided to stop covering for people who didn't deserve it and let the consequences fall where they may. The thing is, I explained to a group of younger guys who were hanging on every word, I didn't actually do anything to them. I just stopped protecting them from the results of their own actions. But the car, the ring, getting her fired, one of them said. The car was legally mine. The ring was legally mine. Her job was lost because her boss found out she was violating company policy. I didn't make any of that happen. I just stopped preventing it from happening. Around midnight, as the crowd was thinning out, Marge sat down next to me. You know, Nick, I've been running this place for 20 years. I've seen a lot of people get cheated on, lied to, taken advantage of. Most of them just take it and move on. Some of them get violent and end up in jail, but you did something different. What's that? You made them face the truth about themselves. That's the cruelest thing you can do to people like that. Force them to see what they really are. I finished my drink and stood up to leave. They wanted to play games with someone they thought was just a dumb construction worker. Turns out, I know how to play games too. As I walked to my truck, I felt lighter than I had in months, maybe years. The weight of trying to make a dishonest relationship work was gone. The humiliation of being cheated on was gone, replaced by the satisfaction of having handled it perfectly. My phone had dozens of friend requests on social media, messages from people sharing their own stories of being cheated on, even a few interview requests from podcasters who wanted to hear my story, but the best message was from my lawyer. Criminal charges filed against Eric Duval for attempted burglary and solicitation of assault. Civil case against both defendants for fraud and theft looks very strong. You're going to come out of this better than you went in. I drove home to my quiet house, my paid-off truck, and my debt-free life. No more wedding payments, no more supporting someone who saw me as a meal ticket, no more lying awake wondering if I was crazy for suspecting what was right in front of my face. As I pulled into my driveway, I saw a bottle of champagne on my doorstep with a note, "From your neighbors, congratulations on your freedom." I opened the bottle and poured myself a glass, then raised it in a toast to my empty house. "To happy endings," I said out loud. At least for someone. The wedding was canceled. So was their future. That's what you get for underestimating the underdog. They'd wanted to play in the big leagues, but they'd forgotten one important rule. Never con an honest man. Because when he stops being honest, he's better at it than you are. Megan had been right about one thing. She did deserve better than a blue-collar nobody. She deserved exactly what she got. Nothing. And Eric? He'd wanted to steal another man's life. Instead, he'd lost his own. As for me, I'd learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's getting free.